Planes go up, planes go down. But hold on, how do they go up?
Some say it's magic, and some say it's bees. Really all it is simple aerodynamics.
Now I know what you're thinking. How does air simply rushing past the wings generate so much force to lift such a heavy object to such high altitudes? Well, let me explain. You see, the wings of an aircraft have a very specific shape. If you simply take a look at the shape of this 787 wing, you clearly see that it's curved on the top and ever so slightly curved on the bottom, but mostly flat on the bottom. Right, so what I've got here is a bog standard airfoil with a fairly curved top surface and a mostly flattened bottom surface. To make it a bit easier for you guys to understand, I made a 2D model of a flat bottomed airfoil. Now a flat bottomed airfoil simply means that the bottom is flat, as it is in the name.
I didn't know that.
Now, as air flows underneath the wing, it doesn't change direction or speed. Therefore, the pressure of that air doesn't change at all. But two very interesting things happen when you look at the air going over the top surface of the wing. One is something called the Bernoulli's principle. Right, so the Bernoulli's principle states that as a fluid moves faster, the pressure of that fluid decreases. So, as you all know in a rocket nozzle or any nozzle, the nozzle constricts to decrease the diameter of the hole, and as it constricts, it forces the air or fluid to go through a smaller, narrow gap. This increases the speed of the flow, as you all know from like putting your thumb over your garden hose. It increases the speed of the flow. So, that decreases the pressure of the flow. I can demonstrate this with this little experiment. I've got the two bottles on rolling sticks and stuff, right? So if I blow through, obviously I have an infinite space, infinite capacity here. But as the air goes through these two bottles, it will be constricted. The flow will be faster, the pressure will be slower, the pressure will be lower, and the two bottles should roll towards each other until, why is there a fly? Until eventually they come together and they touch the flow, and then they will go flying, right? So I'll demonstrate this now with my breath. Take two. You see that? You see that? Well, for you guys, the right bottle moved closer and then into the flow of the stream, right? Because the pressure decreased. The pressure within that section of constraint decreased to a point where the outside air pressure was able to push the bottle into the lower pressure stream, right? That's the Bernoulli's principle. The second thing that happens to the top airflow is called the Coanda effect. Okay guys, break from the video for a second. That moon is absolutely massive. I got a really nice picture of that. But yeah, that's looking gorgeous, I can't lie. Look at that. Proper full moon. Okay, not the mesh. Can we not zoom it? I'll just give you the picture. Now the Coanda effect happens due to something called the boundary layer effect. Now that's when air or fluid is moving close to an object, say this piece of paper. Now the air moving close to this piece of paper is moving slower because it's being dragged by the piece of paper. Imagine you've fallen off your bike and you're kind of slowing down because of the friction with the ground, right? Similar thing with the air. The air is being dragged by this piece of paper because of the friction. Now that causes the layers of air above it to slow down because they're also touching the layers of air that's being slowed down by the piece of paper. So it's kind of this gradual gradient of speed. As you get further away from the surface, the more closer to your actual wind speed or actual airspeed is. The closer you are to the surface, the slower that speed is, because the fluid is essentially being dragged by the surface, right? It's sticking to the surface. So that can be demonstrated by this piece of paper. So if I get myself on the side and I let you see, if I hold the piece of paper like this between my fingers and I blow on the top surface like this, I blow from here, you should see the piece of paper rise up because of the Coanda effect, because the air is sticking to the piece of paper and pulling it upwards because it's being deflected downwards, which causes obviously a resultant equal and opposite force to push the paper upwards, right? So I'm not blowing underneath, I'm not doing this. I'm not kind of blowing the paper, no, I'm blowing above. You can see my mouth is above. See that? It lifts the paper up. That's the Coanda effect. That's also what happens on aircraft wings. Now, what does this actually look like on the surface of a wing? Well, as the air goes up and above the wing's surface, it has to speed up because it's taking a longer path to get to the other side of the wing, right? This causes the pressure to decrease, just like in Bernoulli's principle. And since the pressure on the bottom of the wing is atmospheric pressure, that pressure decrease generates some amount of lift. Now, it doesn't generate all of the lift, that's where the Coanda effect comes in. And since a wing's surface isn't exactly flexible like paper, it doesn't move. So it forces the air to be deflected downwards, which, equal and opposite force, forces the wing to go up. That adds the other percent of thrust. Thrust? No, that adds the other percent of lift that you get on an aircraft wing. That's what allows your wing to fly. Thanks for watching, guys. I really enjoyed making this video, and if you enjoyed this video as well, YouTube thinks you're gonna like this one, so go check that out. And yeah, see you in the next one. Peace out.